Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Not only have I been the owner of Mint Mobile for the last few years, I've also been a customer. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile, with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
Empowered and Unapologetic is part of the Practice of the Practice Podcast Network, a family of podcasts that change the world. To hear other podcasts like the Bomb Mom Podcast, Beta Male Revolution, or Imperfect Thriving, go to practiceofthepractice.com/network. Have you ever thought, how did I manage to lose myself? Being a mom is so hard, especially when we're feeling stressed and disconnected. We exhaust ourselves trying to create this perfect life for our family. You deserve to enjoy your marriage and your kids without the stress perfectionism brings. I am going to teach you how to identify who you are outside of all of the roles you play. Hi, I'm Veronica Cisneros. I'm a wife, mother of 3, and a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am on a mission to teach women just like you how to become empowered and unapologetic. Welcome to our Girl Gang. Hey ladies, welcome to Empowered and Unapologetic. I'm your host, Veronica Cisneros. So we're doing things a little different here. This is a 3-part series. If you haven't listened to part 1 and 2, I strongly encourage you to do so after this one. Today I have invited my husband to join in on this session, and you're probably wondering why. Well, there were so many women from my VIP membership group asking me questions about sex, especially after hearing I had a sexologist on the podcast. It sparked up so many questions of my own. Then I started to talk to my husband about it and came up with this brilliant idea. Why not ask these questions as a couple? Let's be honest, the minute we hear the word sex, we all become giddy and uncomfortable, yet curious. We all have questions on whether or not we fit into the norm. So I'm taking one for the team and asking these questions for you, for me, well, for both of us. So please help me by welcoming Dr. Lanae St.John, who is a board-certified sexologist, certified sex coach, educator, and author of Read Me, a parental primer for the talk. She's been named one of the top 100 sex blogging superheroes by Kinkly.com. Not Kinky.com, Kinkly.com. Every year since 2013. She has been quoted in Forbes.com, Huffington Post, Livestrong.com, and Women's Health magazines, just to name a few. Dr. Lanae, thank you again for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Willie, hi.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
And then, why not? We decided to go ahead and include Dr. Lanae's partner, Ragnar. Hey, Ragnar.
Hi there.
So, we have her and her partner, and then myself and my partner, my husband, and we're all on here. And the reason why all four of us are on here is because I didn't want to go ahead and miss out on anything. I wanted you guys to have a full-on experience, especially answering or asking questions that maybe you had and you thought about, but were too afraid to ask. So here we go. We're just going to dive in. Dr. Lanae, what questions, and I'm going to go here first, and here's why. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. And there's that little giddy part inside of me that's like, okay, wait a minute. What the hell are you going to share? And what are you going to keep to yourself? I promised myself, and me and my husband both promised, no, we're going to totally go there and we're going to totally be open and honest. But first, let's go ahead and ask like a simple question that doesn't apply to us. And then we'll go ahead and get to the hardcore stuff later.
Sounds good.
So what questions are you often asked as a sex coach?
So, yeah, I mean, when I first started as a sex coach, a lot of the questions were targeted at like, well, what do you do? Or what do you think about this? And it's really not so much about, my own behavior or activities. And it's funny because I do still kind of start to blush when I talk about my own stuff. But yeah, I mean, the kinds of questions I used to get are very different than the ones I get now. And I'm not sure how much of it relates to, what's happening globally with coronavirus or anything like that. But the questions I get now are more about pleasure enhancement. Like they all boil down to like, how could we be doing things better? How can we be getting more pleasure? There are definitely some like the desire discrepancy kinds of questions, like he wants it more than me, or I want it more than he does. And then there's stuff that comes up for people around, then gender roles. Like, what does it mean if I want it more than he does, for the heterosexual couples? So it's bringing up a lot of different things, more so now than it has for clients that I've worked with in the past.
So what would be your answers to some of those questions?
So, I mean, when it comes to the desire discrepancy stuff, you just have to sit back and maybe get curious, ask questions of your partner, like just simply, how are you doing? Like what's on your mind these days? What kinds of things are stressing you out? Because I guarantee you, stress has an impact on our sex drives, and it's going to be different for everyone. Some people are going to retreat and go inward, and they're not going to really want to have sex. They might want to cuddle, but they might not want to have sex at all. And others might get more soothing from touch and some folks are having more sex. They're feeling more connected. But it also depends on the age of the kids at home. Like if the kids are younger, they can put them to bed and have some time to themselves. But if the kids are older, like I have clients who are saying, I don't really know when to do this, like when to connect with my partner because the kids are always here. So yeah, there's a lot of questions. And like I said, get curious. If your partner is not wanting to have sex, don't make the mistake of assuming they're getting it somewhere else. Like I hear that a lot too. Like, my partner doesn't want to have sex with me. Does it mean that they're having an affair? They're watching too much porn, that they're, they're masturbating themselves. Like, who cares if they're masturbating by themselves? Like, great. That means they're, at least they're, getting some pleasure, but they may not, be up for partnered interactions right now. So there's a lot of different layers to that.
Ooh, okay. So I'm back and forth about going here, but because I'm back and forth, I'm totally going to go here.
Okay.
You mentioned masturbation, right? What would you say okay, so here we go. It's happening. So my husband was totally, my husband left to Afghanistan and Iraq, right? And so obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but of course there's going to be magazines sent to him, right? And
sent to him there or
sent to him
at the house?
Sent to him over there. Okay. So how do I even ask this question? What would you say with coming back? Like, is it healthy for those magazines to still exist? Because I'm not going to lie, and I'm sure other women have this same feeling. Like, if there's magazines there, it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. All of the insecurities come up, right? Like, okay, wait a minute. Like, why do you need a magazine for if I'm right here, right? What would you say to that?
Well, I can say that magazines are just visual stimuli, and I don't have a problem with having magazines around. I don't have a problem with using magazines as the word fodder pops into my head, fodder for fueling masturbation, or helping to appease those desires. But what I want to hone in on is the word insecurity.
Yes.
So the word that you used, insecurity, it brings up your insecurities. I mean, I think it's fair to have a conversation, like a constructive conversation about like the images in most magazines that are of an adult nature portray bodies that aren't particularly, I mean, they're photoshopped, right? Like real women cannot match up to photoshopped images, and just making sure that everyone involved, knows that that's not what real women look like, and real women aren't splayed out for immediate consumption all the time. And I mean, to be fair, that might be part of the appeal, that it is sort of like an immediate thing that, okay, if I really want this thing right now, I can get it. And I don't really have to,
There's no coercing. It's just happening.
It's just, it's, I think of that as no different than like, I mean, for me, there's one sex toy in particular that is like a pretty immediate satisfaction for me. So I guess it would be kind of the equivalent of fast food. Like porn is like fast food for men. And I think certain toys for women can be that same sort of fast food. Those air pulse technology clitoral stimulators.
Mm-hmm.
You know which one we're talking about?
Well, girl, I'm going to ask you the name because the minute you said that, I was like, hey, okay, let's do this.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like fast food. There's one toy in particular. There's a couple of lines actually. Most sex toy companies have this version of toy available for people with clitorises.
Are you talking about the rabbit? Girl, you could just say it.
It's called, the one that I like is Satisfier is the brand.
Uh-huh.
And they have pretty much, I don't even know all the names of this particular toy. One of them is a penguin. It looks like a little penguin.
Okay.
And another is like a small little, I guess, kind of squarish shaped. It's a travel clitoral stimulator. So it, tucks away inside its own case, and it looks like a little compact case, I guess, like a thicker compact case. And they all sort of have a round opening that is big enough to sit over the head of the clitoris.
Mm-hmm.
And so that little opening has sort of an air pulse technology that's inside it at the base of that little hole.
Yeah.
And it sort of makes like a
noise. She went there. She took it there.
It makes this noise, but the noise that it makes produces a little suction and a little vibration that, I mean, for me, it can take less than a minute. So like you talk about fast food for masturbation for men, like the same exists for us.
So you bring up something right now for me. It's like, so, I mentioned insecurities with my husband, when he had those magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, it's like the minute you started talking about this penguin, I was like, girl, okay, where do I get it? Like, but that makes so much sense, because it's like, I feel like there's so many insecurities with, wait a minute, why is he doing that? Why can't I be involved? Or why didn't he tell me? But I really know the answer. Well, because I just told him to get away because all these kids are here, or I'm too tired. You know what I mean? But we're so not willing to go ahead and own that and rationalize it. It's more of the insecurity comes in and we're focused only on that. However, the minute you mentioned penguin and rabbit and whatever else you mentioned, and then the thumping noise, it was like, sign me up. Like all of that, it was like, okay, whatever he's doing, fine. But like, let me get back to me. And so I'm sure as well, like, I guess I'll ask you, honey, like if I had that toy, like what comes up for you? Is there like insecurities that come? I want you to be honest, because I see your face right now and you're like, well, no, don't pretend nobody's listening except for us four. Like,
yeah, it's just us four.
It's just us four.
Yeah. A little weird. So I would say that if it's, I think where it takes away from the relationship, and this is just my opinion, is that when that becomes the sole producer of your intimacy, and you're resorting more to that and looking for that more than you are your own partner.
Is that your fear?
And I think that's when you have insecurities, or when an individual can produce some insecurities, is because they would rather have that than they would rather have, the actual intimacy with their partner. I don't foresee. I'm like, okay, go for it. And let's start out with that and see what
warm you up.
Yeah, exactly. Warm up the car. It's like getting things going. And I would say that's the way I view it, as it's a form of foreplay. And I don't know if that's the same way it's your recommendations are for something like that, or
You've hit it right on the nail, right on the head. I mean, it is not a replacement. It's my partner here was sitting here nodding as you were talking. Like you've nailed it. It's if that becomes a replacement, and often, I mean, lots of times the issues that people have around sexuality, sex is it can be just a symptom. And if a person is seeking out masturbation more than partner interactions, like it's time to look at, okay, now what's happening here? Are we not connected at all? Or is it just that, right now things are so stressful, timing might be off, people might not be exactly synced up, but it is important to, at least make those efforts to try to reconnect when you can.
What recommendations would you give for couples to reconnect, especially in a time like today where, like you were saying initially, there's no schools, so people have less freedom. Adults are having less freedom because, you may have both husband and wife working from home. Kids are home, so there's less freedoms because just the house is full. So trying to find a moment to be able to, connect with your partner seems less likely. And then by the time you do get a chance, there's burnout because of so many things going on, and a balance of just not only your own life and your own work, but also the work of others, as well as just running a household and all those things. So I think finding connection issues right now would be challenging.
Yeah. Well, and my partner, we're nodding to each other because, we're living through the same stuff. I've got 2 older kids at home, and the 2 of us are both working from home. They're both the kids are doing schoolwork from home, all the same stuff that you're just describing. And where I think we've been doing better is sort of the day-to-day touching of each other. Like we'll pass each other in the hall and I don't know, like I'll grab him and just sort of like squeeze him. And I mean, it's not just a sexual connection, obviously, because absent the sexual connection, there needs to be, some other way that we are connecting. And so I've talked about the gratitude gap a lot on, who have I been talking to? I've mentioned that a couple podcasts I've been on, but I'm admitting on the podcast here, I haven't been the greatest with this gratitude gap as well. Like that is another important point to connecting with your partner is showing them gratitude.
I'm so glad you shared that. It's safe here. It's safe here.
My partner's looking at me like, I haven't told you that I appreciate you as much as I should these days, especially, So, it just the more affectionate touch, loving touch. I'm not a huge fan of the 5 love languages, but there is some value to the content if you kind of take away the preachy, very churchy vibe that it gives sometimes.
Yeah.
But the way people do receive love or like feel love and the way they express it, like those things can be not particularly matched up, right? Like if you're a physical touch person and the other person is an acts of service person, like you might be doing things for the other person and they're not feeling them as love. Yeah. Right? They're not hearing it or feeling it, receiving it.
Girl, you just described us. You just described
to a T.
To a T.
Really?
I'm acts of service. My husband's totally physical touch.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, in that instance, you have to, you could like go onto Pinterest and find the little, what do you call them? Like you can put a screenshot on your phone of like brainstorming different ways to show acts of service, right? And then if your partner receives love through acts of service, going into that list and saying, okay, now what's an example I could do today? Or what is some way that I wouldn't normally think of to show love to my partner that is a way that they would actually receive it, right? Or physical touch. And like I said, physical touch is pretty high for us. And so that like, if I'm sitting at my desk and working and Ragnar walks past me because he has to walk past my desk to get, out of the room, he'll just like touch my shoulders affectionately as he walks past. Like it's not sexual, but it's a connected way of reaching out to the other person, absent being able to go and bone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Ragnar.
He said sometimes that too.
Well, so something that you just said right now, like how you were saying, me and my partner do this. The minute you were saying that, I can feel myself going, okay, we do that too. Check. We do that too. Oh, okay. So we're normal. We're in the norm. You know what I mean? And then I also think about the times when we're not doing certain things and I don't feel like I'm in the norm. And so I just kind of wanted to hit on that because I feel like the emotional aspect of not feeling connected, feeling as if you're unable to go ahead and, be vulnerable and intimate. That's that's another component, and being open and honest. And I appreciate you saying, having a discussion and communicating that, because that is so important. If you're feeling that and you take a blind eye to it and just let it happen, well, more than likely your husband or your partner's feeling that same, that same absence, that same hole. And so if you're able to go ahead and discuss this, well, it takes your relationship to a whole different level. So you guys are both not ignoring the elephant in the room.
Yeah, you can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Hey ladies, here's the deal. I've opened up a private VIP membership group. This community is hosted in a private Facebook group where I will do 1-hour weekly coaching calls. I'll help you create a goal action plan. You'll be provided with worksheets and assigned homework to hold you accountable. In addition, you will have access to me. Have a problem? Post it and get feedback. It's a healthy mix of coaching, accountability, and support. The VIP ladies have told me it feels like we're all sisters. I can really be myself here. Get access to our VIP membership group only when you join. Go to empoweredandunapologetic.com/VIP-membership. Start pursuing the change you so badly desire. You deserve it.
There was something you just said. You were wondering if you're normal, or if you're the acts, or not having the acts. Is that normal as well? And it kind of circles back to the very first question you asked about what are the kinds of questions I get. If you just scratched away things that people are trying to ask, it all essentially boils down to versions of, am I normal? Is my desire normal? Is this particular activity normal? Is us not having sex normal? Like, all the questions sort of boil down to some version of that. And sex is, there are so many misconceptions. There's lots of misinformation. People will generalize and make sweeping statements. I had somebody yesterday on my Facebook. A man came on and talked on a post that I was talking about Masturbation May, because May is a month to celebrate masturbation. And he said, is this just for women? Because all men masturbate every day. And, not all men masturbate every single day. So, there's misinformation. There's also posturing, right? Like the peacocking.
Yeah.
To be able to say, oh, I masturbate every day. Like, really? I mean, okay, you may be stressed enough to want to do that. Maybe you're not partnered and that's how you cope. Like, so yeah, the misinformation doesn't help folks either, because then they start to compare themselves and say, well, wait, I must not be normal because this guy said this, and that must be true. Like, everybody does it and I don't. So no, something's wrong with me. Like, it doesn't always help folks.
No, not at all.
Normal.
Yeah, exactly. Most people are normal. The desires that they have, the interests, like, it all boils down to these questions. And I would even extend it to the questions kids ask kind of are getting at that as well. Like, let me think of an example. When they're asking, when do people get their period, right? They're essentially asking, like, what's normal? Like, am I normal if I don't get it by this age? Or if I, is there something wrong with me if I'm too early, right? Like, it's essentially trying to get at our, the fears that we have where we're not, comparing or measuring up.
Absolutely.
So would you say that normalcy is based off of perception? So what you define you as a person, I would say, yes, as a person and as a couple, normalcy is going to be different for you than it is for others, because you may be sexual voyeurs and doing all kinds of crazy stuff and out and about and doing things, versus somebody else who is like, they're completely fine with once a week, once a month, once every so often. And for them, they're completely fine and not, they don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll throw it back to you with a situation. I used to ask the students in my college course, I'd have them go into small groups, and then I would say, I would like for you to come to some agreement around how often is a good amount to have sex, right? How often should a person be having sex? And interestingly enough, when we would come back to the big group, let's say where there were 5 different groups, 5 different small groups, they would all have a different answer. They would come to an agreement within their little group, but amongst the 5 groups, they would all have a different answer. So it's going to be different. Same thing with like, how long should it take from stimulation to ejaculation for a person with a penis? Like what's too short, right? Or what's too fast? You get a different answer among all the different groups, so it's purely subjective. One person's, done in 30 seconds might be perfect for their partner, right? But another person who, might think it should last an hour might be like, oh my God, I'm done already. Like, can we just... So, it's not, it's going to be different.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I got excited when you were throwing it back to him because I was like, oh shit, she's going to ask him a question. It's going to happen. I want to hear this.
No,
what was the question you wanted me to ask?
I don't know. I don't even know.
We've had debates. We've had debates on this too, because this is like something that I think her, especially like nowadays, where she's just constantly working. And before, I was the one that was solely working and doing things. And even then, I still came back and I was like, look, I know I've had a long day, but I need me some nookie. I need a release. I need to work some of this out. And and then there's times that she's just like, I don't have any energy to do this. I just want to go to sleep. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, come on, Jesus. But
there are times on the other end.
Yeah, there's times on the other end where she's like,
it's going
hey,
down.
Let's go. I just had to cancel the appointment.
It's happening. It's happening.
It's like, get your ass up here.
It's happening. I don't even care where you're at emotionally. I don't care what's going up for you. Just strip. Yeah. Just strip.
Yeah, just use each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. I mean, there are times when I'm not particularly in
Sometimes
the mood.
I wake her up. then she was tired before. After an hour, she had a nice nap, and like at 1:00 in the morning. So more receptive.
It's true. I mean, but it also comes back to the communication. We've talked about how for me that's okay for you to wake me up, but for other people that might not be okay. Or, let me sleep through to the morning, then wake me up in the morning. Like it could be.
Instead, I don't have to wake you up.
That is fair. That's something that's okay. It's totally fair too.
My husband tells me all you need is a heartbeat.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
He's like, it's not going to happen. I'm like, you're going to eventually go to sleep at some point.
So I want to circle back to that insecurity question about the adult magazines and the porn magazines.
Oh yeah.
Your partner, and I don't mean to speak for you, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Go.
You're excited to have her there, right? Like,
correct.
The insecurities that women typically have about their bodies, like men are just excited to have you naked.
It's like these magazines, like we were just going through and cleaning stuff out, and these have been put away. They've been boxed for years. And haven't been like they're not like sitting out on a table, a coffee table or anything. They've been put away. Yet tool or toys and things like that have not necessarily are necessarily put away. So like yes, I'm definitely back home and appreciative of having my wife's human body over here with me. So and being able to appreciate every bit of that. So I think it's just I think
it goes back to though, like it's that mindset that we have with, I mean, just the same thing. I remember when he was gone and I purchased something and he's like, well, don't purchase something bigger or whatever than me. Like, don't get too crazy, you know? Like, wait a minute.
Sounds like an insecurity to
Right?
some
Exactly.
Just buy 2 smaller ones.
What happened? What did you say?
He said, buy 2 smaller ones.
Yeah. This is sponsored by Louisville Slugger.
So there are insecurities on both ends. And I think, you know, being able to go out and share that, you know, versus I think what you and I have done is we've kind of just joked about it.
Yeah.
But in reality, there are insecurities there. And I'm glad that she circled back to it because it's being open and honest about those insecurities. And, you know, my husband, he's like, he is where he'll just call me and he's like, or when I call him, he's like, I had to let the phone ring about 5 times before I knew it was going to go to voicemail because whenever I call, there's this picture that goes up. I'm not going to go into detail what that picture is, but you guys can go ahead and imagine whatever, take it wherever you want to go.
Mental picture.
Mental picture. But he's like, I let it ring about 5 times because I know after the 5th ring, it's going to go to voicemail. Then I'll pick up just to see that picture. And so he says those things and he, you know, there is physical touch. He and I, we've been married for 20 years and we flirt all the time. Like I'm always grabbing his butt.
Just like how you were describing with your partner, how you guys, you know, there's the touching of the shoulder or, you know, a small caress or a grope, a grab, something like that. That constantly happens throughout, you know, our not only in our marriage, but also just on a normal everyday basis.
But I think in general for everybody there,
and it doesn't feel like it's something like we're checking the box either.
No.
It's for us, that's what we do. And that's our normal.
And I think I would advise like women, like if you're feeling it, like let it happen. You know, there's insecurities, even though, you know,
act on it.
Yeah. Even though we have that there, I still get insecure. You know, my husband will be like, damn, you know, you look really sexy. And it's like, oh my God, I look like a mom. You know, like I'm in this house dress, my hair's, you know, not even really brushed and I don't have any makeup on. But that's my insecurities and not allowing that compliment to sink in. And I think if we were able to kind of let down that guard and just would be totally different, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, this is why I enjoy talking to you. Like you have these moments of realization that like you're checking in with yourself and realizing, hey, like, I love these conversations.
What recommendations would you give for couples who are trying to not only get through this, but say past this and just fast forwarding to after all this is done, pandemic wise, and just getting out and just having a long lasting relationship sexually, as well as just a healthy relationship overall, throughout life and growing old together? Like what recommendations and things would you say to that couple?
Do your own little photo shoot.
Ooh, okay.
Create your own magazine.
Make your own magazine. I like that.
Cancel the subscription and make your own. That's amazing. Now I know where your mind is. Well, I mean,
coffee helps.
So, you know, when people ask me for recommendations, you know, sometimes I wonder if they're a little disappointed because they're not particularly sexual, right? They're not. The recommendations I usually have to do with talking about stuff, and that's the thing that can be a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work, one, to talk about stuff, and it's not particularly sexy, but it is how we get to the sexy stuff, right? Like if we can expose these insecurities for what they are, and, you know, ideally you have a partner who can hear you and receive those and help you hear what you need to hear about, you know, whatever the topic of the insecurity is. If it's about your physical body, you know, to be able to, well, it's not so much validating. It's like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's that you're heard and that your partner can say, well, my reality is I don't see that. You know, I see the same person I married, or I see, the person I fell in love with, or, because our bodies do change over the life cycle, and we're not always going to be, the same body as a
comfortable in our own skin.
20-year-old or what's that?
Comfortable in our own skin.
Yeah. So yeah, and we both kind of hold our bellies here. So it's, things are going to change, and, if for example, as we hold our bellies here, if the body thing is something that maybe we make a plan to work out together and shift that, change that, or whatever the case may be. Right. And I guess if I do have something that's a little more sexual, as far as a recommendation, it's still a communication thing. Like the freebie that I have on my website is like, it's right below the fold, and it's called Touch Lab. And it's really an exercise that can help you articulate things that feel good, maybe even discover some other places on you. It's kind of like body mapping. Like you're exploring the body, you're exploring your partner's body, and they're ideally giving you feedback, what feels good, what's okay, keep moving.
Like, Willie's like winking at me. Willie's winking at me right now while you're saying this.
Say that again?
I said, Willie's winking at me right now while you're saying all of this.
There you go. So yeah, it's, it's like initially at first glance, it's not particularly sexy, but that exercise has a beginner, intermediate, and advanced level to it. And the advanced level is when you're, working specifically on the genitals. And so, yeah, there's work that you can do that's playful and fun and exploratory, and even being together 20 years, you can still find maybe a new place that you haven't spent a lot of time on in the past that now you can explore more in depth.
What you also can do is put some movie on for the kids and then lock yourself in the bathroom in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because you still have enough energy.
Yeah. I literally gave that suggestion to a couple yesterday. I mean, especially now when kids can't go anywhere, you can't go anywhere. They can't go to a friend's house or a neighbor's house. I mean, you might have to enlist the help of your oldest to say, hey, we need some time to snuggle. We need some time to connect. Can I put you in charge of your siblings for an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever?
10 minutes. 10.
I mean, they have to, for all that we say, sex is between two people who love each other. Like, it should be okay that we go love each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Go do the thing, because that's what we're telling them is okay to do.
Absolutely. So I want to go ahead and wrap up and ask, what are 3 tips you would encourage couples to try right now? So ladies, grab your man so he can hear this.
3 things to try. The one thing is kind of a version of the Touch Lab. I always find it fascinating to watch testicles. Like, this is to watch the scrotum.
Bro, I don't even know where you took me right now. I'm like, okay, wait, I thought she was going to give me, and I'm like, okay, why am I watching testicles?
When you watch the scrotum, it's like a lava lamp, right? Like,
why are you nodding your head? Willie's nodding his head.
It does. It does.
So,
I thought you were nodding your head so I could watch the testicles.
I'm not watching testicles, but yeah, go for it.
Well, okay, so
yeah, you're losing me here. You're losing me here.
The one tip is to get curious.
Okay.
Right? And the example that I'm going to give is the scrotum one, because you can play with, if you have a partner who has a penis and a scrotum, you can play with this if they'll let you, obviously. But it's interesting to see how the scrotum moves if you apply like a warm hand or a cold hand, right? Like, it is, the skin on the scrotum is like a lava lamp. And I that's the best descriptor I can use. Like, it's like a shark. It's constantly on the move, because what the scrotum does, obviously, is it regulates temperature of the testicles inside. And so it's like, it's moving and moving and grooving to try to keep the temperature regulated. So get curious, like, be curious about your partner's body.
I think you need to have some body heat.
Yeah.
That's where you observe this, right? After some exercise.
Whatever exercise that might be.
Because the body is hot and then the scrotum tries to cool the testicles, basically.
Yeah.
Find the optimal position. That's how it slightly moves.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's one.
So watching testicles.
So let's see, 2 more. And I think, the 3 tips would be, try something that's not sexual. Try something that's sexual. And then, do you have a third?
Start the foreplay after breakfast.
There you go. Yeah.
But do it like an 8-hour, right? Super and like clandestine. And so you kind of communicate that secretly over the course of the day.
Oh, I'm hoping that this is what he's got in mind for me today.
Something that kind of builds up, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Let it build up. That's I guess you could sext your partner from inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh yeah, it happens. It's happened.
Oh yeah.
Come upstairs.
Old school Post-it notes. Yeah. Post-it notes are a good one too. I mean, okay, so something sexual, something non-sexual, and then I would say the gratitude gap. Remember the gratitude gap. Like, do something today or say something today to show appreciation for your partner.
Okay.
So like ironing the clothes.
That would be what? An acts of service?
Acts of service. Acts of service.
Men do for.
Oh, that you would iron for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. There's something non-sexual that could lead to sexual. I know a lot of women that the minute their husbands iron clothes, fold laundry, and put it away, hell yeah, that's acts of service.
You remember seeing that little pop-up book that they would sell at the checkout counters of little boutiques where it was porn for women?
I don't remember that.
You ever see that?
No.
It was a small little, I don't know, probably a little bigger than your phone size book. And inside it had pictures of hunky men, shirtless men doing household chores.
Oh, all right.
So
don't get too excited. This one looks at me. Do you see it? Insecurities.
I'll be your hunky man doing that stuff. You don't need to see that.
They go back and forth.
All right, I'm going to follow you with the camera, honey. But naked, ironing clothes.
That's that photo shoot.
There you go. There we go, Ragnar. Photo shoot check.
Get pictures of your partner doing household chores for the spank bank.
That's right.
Well, Dr. Lanae, thank you so much. Once again, this has been just amazing. I mean, I think our listeners, if you didn't take notes, play this again because you're definitely going to want to go ahead and take the notes and apply everything that she just taught us. I'm still not sure about the watching the testicles just yet. I'm gonna try it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna try it and see where this goes, and
see where it goes. Yes,
I know where it's gonna go. For those of you that are
use the heat of your breath. Use the cool of your breath.
Okay, now you're giving us tips. Now you're giving us the goods.
Yeah, like warm up your hands and bring an ice cube.
Bring an ice cube. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
So for those,
where it goes.
Right? For those of you that are in our Facebook group, I'm totally going to go ahead and let you guys know how all of this went and the warming of the hands, the watching of the testicles, and the questionnaire. And if you're not in my Facebook group, you got to join. And it's only for women. Sorry, Ragnar and Willie. You guys aren't invited. It's only for us women. It's a private Facebook group. I highly recommend you join it because on this platform, we talk about all of the things. Dr. Lanae, and Dr. Lanae's been on there, right? On our summit.
I'm going to post a picture of a lava lamp now. Or some sharks because they're always on the move too.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you so much, Ragnar. It's been a pleasure. I know so much about you now.
Thank you. Yeah, I liked it.
Thank you both.
Thank you both. All right. Until next time, you guys. I'll see you later.
Okay.
Thank you. Have
Thanks.
a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.
You as well. Bye.
Bye.
What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now and rate and review. Thank you, guys. Many women lose their own identity in the shadow of being a mom and a wife. We are a community of women who support each other. We leave perfectionism behind to become empowered and unapologetic. I know you're ready for the next steps. If you want to become empowered and unapologetic, get my free course, Unapologetically Me, over at empoweredandunapologetic.com/course. This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regards to the subject matter covered. This is given with the understanding that neither the host, practice of the practice, or the guest are providing legal, mental health, or other professional information. If you need a professional, you should find one.
Hey there, this is Casey McGuire Davidson, host of the Hello Someday podcast. I'm an ex-red wine girl turned life coach who helps busy women change their relationship with alcohol. I spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder while drinking a bottle of wine a night to unwind. In the Hello Someday podcast, my goal is to teach you the tried and true secrets of creating and living a life you don't want to escape from. Each week, I'll bring you tools, lessons, and conversations to help you drink less and live more. I'll teach you how to navigate our drinking-obsessed culture without a buzz and how to turn the decision to stop drinking from your worst-case scenario to the best decision of your life. You can find new episodes of the Hello Someday podcast every Thursday, wherever you listen, and I hope you check it out.
Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support to helping loved ones to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there.
Hey there, this is Casey McGuire Davidson, host of the Hello Someday podcast. I'm an ex-red wine girl turned life coach who helps busy women change their relationship with alcohol. I spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder while drinking a bottle of wine a night to unwind. In the Hello Someday podcast, my goal is to teach you the tried and true secrets of creating and living a life you don't want to escape from. Each week, I'll bring you tools, lessons, and conversations to help you drink less and live more. I'll teach you how to navigate our drinking-obsessed culture without a buzz and how to turn the decision to stop drinking from your worst-case scenario to the best decision of your life. You can find new episodes of the Hello Someday podcast every Thursday, wherever you listen, and I hope you check it out.
Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support to helping loved ones to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there. Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support, to helping loved ones, to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there.
It's easy to blame ourselves for our struggles with alcohol. We see people around us being able to control their drinking without any consequences, yet no matter what we try, we can't seem to figure it out for ourselves. My name is Jillian Teets, and I am the host of the Sober Powered podcast, where I use my biochemistry background to explain the latest research in addiction and help you understand both why you drink the way you do and how to develop the skills and mindset you need to find freedom from alcohol. I discuss topics like why we think about our drinking 24/7, why we have no off switch, and why we crave alcohol. If you're struggling with your drinking or you know someone who is, then I hope that you will check out the Sober Powered podcast. New episodes every Friday. See you there.